जनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवांसस्तनूभिः विषेमदेवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरि ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ॐ. So we are going to see Mandukya Upanishad, Agama Prakarana, the first chapter of Agama Prakarana means Veda. So Mandukya Upanishad is only 12 mantras, but on that 12 mantras Gaudavadacharya has written commentary, 4 chapters. So the first chapter is called Agama Prakarana. We are going to see that, and before the entering into the Upanishad, we will introduce the topic. So today we will have an introduction to Mandukya. The word Veda means a source of knowledge. Vidyate, Nyayate, Anena iti Veda. A body of literature through which we come to know about the various means and ends of human life. It is therefore called Veda, and it is also called Shruti, because it was supposed to be heard by the rishis and it was revealed by the Lord. Shruti means that which is heard by the rishis, and therefore Shrutis are heard literature. It is not born out of a human intellect, and therefore it is called Apaurusheyam, or supra-human origin. Also, they have been propagated in the tradition of Karna Parampara, means teacher-taught tradition. Originally, they were not in written form, and it was learned by hearing from the Guru, and hence it is called Shruti. And the Vedas are in 4 in number: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharvana Veda. And this vast body of literature is broadly classified into 2 portions, known as Veda Purva, the first portion, and Veda Antaha, the last portion. And in the Veda Purva, they have 3 topics called Sadhyatrayam, Sadhanatrayam, and Doshatrayam. These are the 3 topics: Sadhyatrayam, Sadhanatrayam, Doshatrayam. I will explain to you what are they. The Veda Purva talks about 3 types of human goal, which are: number 1, self-improvement, means improvement of our body, our sense organs, our mind, etc., which is called self-improvement. Then the second one is, the goal discussed is the improvement of our possessions. Improving the house, vehicle, trying to improve your family members, etc. So the first one is Upadi Parishkara. Second is Vishaya Parishkara. Now third one is improvement of the setup in which you live. I will call it as setup improvement. If the setup is not good, then you will get upset. This is called Paristhiti Parishkara. So thus we have three types of sadhyatrayam, human goals, and are discussed. One, self-improvement. Another is improvement of possession. Third is improvement of setup. Because the human beings know that both security and happiness are dependent upon these three factors. If any one of these is deficient, you can never enjoy your life. Because the enjoyment depends upon yourself, your possessions, and your setup with the ambience. These are the three goals talks about in the Veda, Purva Bhaga, means Karma Kanda. And to accomplish these three goals, Veda talk about three types of sadhanas also. And three types of paths of discipline called sadhana trayam. One is physical discipline. That is why we have varieties of rituals. Kayika sadhanani. The second type of discipline is verbal discipline. Vachika sadhanani, in the form of japam, parayanam, etc. Then third one is manasa sadhanani, like varieties of meditation, upasanas, etc. So, and sadhyatrayam, so one is oneself, second is possession, third one is setup. Sadhanatrayam is kayika sadhanani, vachika sadhanani, and manasa sadhanani. And after dealing with sadhyatrayam and sadhanatrayam, we talk about doshatrayam. All the sadhyatrayams are accomplished through sadhanatrayas, but they have got some intrinsic deficiencies, defects. There are doshams. Now what are those doshas? Number one problem is dukkha mishritatvam. They are always mixed with pain. There is no pure joy. They do give you joy, but mixed with pain. The pain associated with acquisition, pain associated with preservation, and pain associated with loss. Pain of loss. And therefore, dukkha mishritam. Second dosha is that they never give total satisfaction. Therefore, struggle is perpetuated. It is like a gambler. Even if he wins, it doesn't satisfy him. He will go for it again. This is called atruptikaratvam. One is dukkha mishritatvam, another is atruptikaratvam. Third dosha is that they are all dependent. They will never give you freedom. It will lead to more and more enslavement only. Therefore, instead of strengthening the individual, they will weaken, which we call it as bandhakatvam. So joy is short-lived, but the bondage is permanent. So this is called bandhakatvam. So dukkha misritatvam, atriptikaratvam, and bandhakatvam. These are the intrinsic defects. Thus, we have sadhanatrayam, sadhyatrayam, and doshatrayam. We saw with regard to the Veda Purva Bhaga, these are the three problems. And generally, majorities of people are satisfied with these sadhanas and sadhyas, even though they suffer those doshas. Majorities of them are satisfied with these, even though they quote sufferings. But there are rare ones experience those doshas. They look for some other goals, which is defect-free. Very few people seek dosha-rahita sadhya, a goal which is defect-free. And to those advanced people, Vedanta addresses. Vedanta says, I do have a nirdosha sadhyam, defect-free goal. Therefore, this Vedanta becomes relevant for those people for whom Veda Purva becomes irrelevant or non-appealing. Now we have to find out what does Vedanta says to those mature people. It says that the dosha-rahita sadhyam, the defect-free goal is Brahman. Nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmat brahmani te shritaha. Chapter 5 Gita, Bhagavan says this. So, Brahman is free from defects. Nirdosham hi samam brahma. And naturally, the seeker is all enthusiastic to achieve Brahman. And to that seeker, Vedanta gives a shocking statement. What does it say? Vedanta says, kindly don't seek that Brahman. Don't go after that Brahman. You will never find that Brahman. Why? Tattum asi. You are that. That defective Brahman is you. You are that Brahman. This is the revealing statement. But when a student listens to this, he gets into a problem. Now what is that? Until he heard Vedanta, he was looking upon himself as full of doshas, defects. I am saturated with doshas, annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, all problems. Defect, riddled, jiva, I am a papi, etc. Even if I have a good opinion about myself, family members of the society will shatter that. They will tell you how useless you are in spite of attending classes. My vision about myself, I am sadosha jiva. And what is Vedanta statement? Dosham brahma tvam asi. You are that defect-free Brahman. Naturally, there is a very, very serious doubt. Am I sadosha jiva or am I the dosha Brahma? I cannot dismiss Vedas because Vedas are coming from the Lord Himself. And therefore, defect-free knowledge. Vedas are called adushta pramanam. Human instruments of knowledge is called sadushta pramanani. Whereas Vedas are called Adushta Pramanam, and therefore I cannot take lightly the Vedic revelation. At the same time, I know my defects are not my imagination. I am very closely experiencing it. Therefore, I cannot dismiss my Anubhav Pramanam also. Therefore, Anubhav Pramanam says, I am with defects, and whereas Shastra says, I am defect-free Brahman. And therefore, I should go in for an inquiry. This is called self-inquiry. In order to find out which is a fact and which is a misconception, is this inquiry. This self-inquiry leads one to self-discovery, which will negate all misconceptions about myself. And once I am a seeker of knowledge, then I should go for an appropriate means of knowledge or instrument of knowledge. Like color, knowledge requires the means of a pair of eyes or sound, pair of ears, etc. Therefore, I should go for an appropriate means, which we call it as pramanam. There are 6 pramanas are there, or instruments of knowledge are there. Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, Arthapatti, Anupalapti, and Shabda. Of these 6 instruments of knowledge, 5 of them are turned outward, meant to study the external world. None of them meant to observe myself. Bahirmukha pramanani, not antarmukha pramanam. And external pramanams are not useful for self-knowledge. Eyes cannot see my face. They are meant to see others' face. Therefore, we can eliminate these 5 pramanams and take up the 6th pramanam, which can reveal my nature. That pramanam is Vedanta pramanam, which is meant to reveal my nature. Therefore, Vedanta serves like a mirror. I cannot look at my face without a mirror. If you want to know your nature, use the Vedanta Darpanam. And of course, when you use the mirror, you have to use the eyes also. In addition to your eyes, you require a mirror also to see yourself or your face. So to know yourself, you need an additional pramana called Vedanta. And therefore, what should I do to attain Brahman? Study the scriptures and inquire into the nature of Brahman. How do I know how to use the instrument of knowledge called Vedanta? Never attempt to use Vedanta Pramana by yourself. Learn the operation of Vedanta Pramana properly from a teacher, traditional teacher. Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. The more you look into Vedanta, more you come to know yourself. Like the more you look into the mirror, you are going to see yourself with clarity. It may be seemingly extrovert activity, but it will turn you into yourself, like the mirror experience. Shastric knowledge is never extrovertedness. Now, what is Shravanam? It is a systematic analysis of Vedanta Shastram to arrive at the central teaching. Extracting the central teaching of Vedanta is called Shravanam. For this Shravanam, 6 factors are required to be taken into consideration. Upakrama, Upasamharo, Abhyasaha, Apurvataha, Phalam, Arthavadaha, Upapatti cha, Lingam, Tatparya Karnaye. There are 6 factors. Upakrama, Upasamhara. So in Bhagavad Gita you see, Bhagavan start with Upakrama. Ashuchya Annashochastvam Prajnavadam Chabhashase. So that is Upakrama. Then end also. Sarvadharman Paritijya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Aham Tva Sarvabhavebhya Mokshayishyami Ma Suchaha. So do not grieve. Start with do not grieve. End also with do not grieve. So there is a consistency in teaching. It's called Upakrama Upasamhara. Then Abhyasa, exercises also. In Bhagavad Gita you see, many times same topic is repeated. It is exercise. Apurvataha, something that which is something extraordinary. It is not ordinary. The topic is not ordinary. Something that a human mind cannot imagine. Apurvataha. Then phalam, what is the result of knowing this? That is also to be highlighted. Especially in 6th chapter, Bhagavan gives many times what is the benefit of meditation. He highlights now and then. Gurunapi, yasmin siddho dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. All those things are given there. Phalam is there. Arthavada, so glorification also. Sometimes we have to glorify, so magnify the result. Then upapatti, logic also given. So these are the 6 points we have to consider to the, what you call the Tatparya Nisaya. So what exactly the right meaning of this Vedic statements, etc. How do you come to the conclusion? These are the 6 factors taken into consideration to arrive at the right conclusion of the Shastra. So systematic and consistent study of Vedanta for a length of time under the guidance of a competent teacher. Now, who is a competent teacher? One who was a competent disciple. First he has to be a disciple. One who was and whose, and this Shravanam will give me Atmajnanam. I am not a Sadosha Jiva, but I am that Nirdosham Brahma, Aham Brahma, Asmi, Iti Jnanam comes through Shravanam. Then Mananam is meant to remove all doubts with regard to teaching of Vedanta. I cannot easily accept that I am defect-free Brahman. Our intellect is not going to accept easily. As long as doubts are there, knowledge is as good as ignorance. And therefore, Mananam exercise is freeing the knowledge from all doubts. So one part of the mind start asking questions, another part of the mind start answering. This is called Mananavritti. Therefore, Mananena Samshaya Navritti. And then comes the Nididhyasanam, is meditation. This is for internalization of this teaching by dwelling upon the doubt-free knowledge in any form. It can be in the form of reading, writing, or discussing, or teaching. These are all different methods of meditation. It is one of the methods. What is required is that your mind should be dwelling upon the teaching. The idea is to decondition ourselves. Why do we have to do that? Because we have conditioned ourselves. All the time thinking I am a defective jiva and I am dependent upon external factors for my security, peace and joy. There are so many varieties of conditionings. In fact, our entire lifestyle driven by these conditionings only. Unfortunately, we are only changing our types of activity. We never question our conditioning. Even though we failed in transforming our lives, we have worsened the condition. We will never make an attempt to decondition ourselves. Once I discover this fact, the other three sadhyatrayam, self-improvement, improvement of possessions, improvement of setup, their arrival or departure will not make any difference. There are two types of samsara. When things and people are around, I feel the burden. That is one type of samsara. And when they are absent, I feel emptiness. That is second type of samsara. This is called samsara. What is moksha? The presence does not cause any burden, and the absence does not cause emptiness. If I can enjoy such state of mind, I have benefited from the knowledge. These are the points to be taken into consideration before we enter into the Upanishad study. Few more technical points. One of the doubts in the scriptures, it is mentioned that Brahman cannot be revealed by words. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. We have also seen in Upanishad, nadatra chakshur gacchati navak navano navijanimo. It is not only said by the scriptures, but it can be proved by reasoning also. Because it is said that words can reveal an object if that object fulfills certain conditions. A word or words can reveal any object only when an object fulfills certain conditions. And those conditions are called Shabda Pravritti Nimittani. Means conditions that an object has to fulfill if that object is to be revealed through words. Shabda Pravritti Nimittani means condition for the functioning of the word. And in these scriptures, they have analyzed this and said 5 conditions are required for the words to reveal an object. We find, unfortunately, Brahman does not fulfill all these 5 conditions. Shabda pravritti nimitta rahitam Brahma. That being so, how can Brahman be revealed by Shabda Pramana? Now, what are the conditions? Just to know and also appreciate, this for academic interest, okay? How deeply our rishis have analyzed everything. The first condition is called Rudhi. Rudhi means Pratyaksha Vishayatva. Being available for direct perception. If an object is available for direct perception, then we can see the object, you also can see, and we come to the conclusion that this object to be named as this, etc. Like table, chair, etc. And once you have seen this, and thereafter when I use the word chair, that word reveals the object. The sun, star, you understand as you, and I have seen it. Now that's called Rudhi. The second condition is Jati. A species, suppose a tree outside, you have not experienced it, but you have seen some other tree. Suppose I say there is a tree outside, even though you don't see the tree, you understand the tree. How do you know? Because this tree is in the same class of trees which I have seen elsewhere. In the case of sun, we cannot say that because there is no jati for sun, only one sun. But tree, you understand, even if it is Parijata tree. Therefore, if an object falls under a species, it can be revealed through Shabda, so Jati. Third one is Guna. Even if you don't know the object, but it can be known through its property. Please bring that blue object, you can say, because the quality. The fourth one is Karma. What does he do? Please call the driver. Even though you don't know him, you can reveal that person through what he does, or plumber. Fifth one is Sambandha, through relationship, like brother, father, etc. And Brahman does not have any one of them. Then how are you going to teach Brahman using words? This is the doubt. Shankaracharya refers to this point in Mandukya Upanishad. Now, which is our answer? Even though words cannot reveal Brahman by a normal method, still words can reveal by ingeniously using or by special methods. And the Upanishad managed to do so. That is why we say a guru is required to handle the words of Upanishad, because the words of the Upanishad do not function in a normal way, but it functions in an abnormal way. And the Upanishad use different techniques for this. We will talk about 4 such methods. Number 1, Upanishad can reveal Brahman by using apparent or unreal attributes. Even though Brahman has no real attributes, the Upanishad managed to reveal Brahman with the help of mithya or apparent attribute. Example is revealing the sky through blue color of the sky, which is not the real attribute of the sky. Akasha does not have any real color, but it has a mithya color, and therefore I can reveal Akasha with the mithya color. So too, blue color of water of the ocean. Ocean water does not have any color. I can reveal the sun by talking about the rising sun and setting sun. Even though we all know that sun does not rise or set, and it is the earth that goes round in the opposite direction. Therefore, words can reveal Brahman with the help of apparent attributes. And in the case of Atma or Brahman, The apparent attribute we make use of is sakshitvam, witness. Witness attribute of consciousness is not the real attribute of consciousness. And it is from the standpoint of Mithya Prapancha. With reference to Prapancha, Mithya Prapancha, or thought, he is a witness. He himself, from his own standpoint, neither witness or any other. So, from the standpoint of Mithya Prapancha, Brahman is called witness. But Brahman does not have any real sakshitvam as his attribute, but we use the apparent status and reveal the real Brahman. This method is number one. Now the second method is you can use a temporary or incidental attribute to reveal an object. The incidental attribute is not the real intrinsic attribute of that object. And the example in the Shastra is a person showing a friend's house, which is called Tarastha Lakshana, which is amidst several similar houses. Suppose there is a housing colony. All the houses are looking same. Someone wants to know which is the house of Devadatta. You cannot tell the color because those days numbering was not there. At that time a crow came and sat on that house. Now this crow is an incidental indicator, not an intrinsic part of the house. So Kakavat Griham Devadatta Griham. Next day you cannot look for a crow to identify the house. Similarly, consciousness cannot be easily revealed directly, but we use the temporary association with the body and reveal that consciousness is that which is not a part of the body, product of the body, property of the body, but something different and which pervades and makes this body sentient. So using the body, we understand the consciousness nature. And this body is not an intrinsic part of consciousness because the body will die after some time. That is why whenever we are born, we have an expiry date. The body has an expiry date. That is why somebody dies, you tell, R.I.P. What is that R.I.P.? Rest in peace. What is the real meaning of rest in peace? Rest of the people are in peace. That is a rest in peace. I thought you are all very seriously listening. Even though body and consciousness does not permanently connected, I use a temporary body, an incidental body to reveal consciousness. That which enlivens the body is consciousness. Called Tarastha Lakshana. Then what is the third method used? The very absence of attribute is used for revealing the truth. For example, when there are several glasses are there, in all the glasses some item or other is there. But in one glass there is nothing. Now please bring the empty glass. What do you mean by that? Emptiness is not a positive attribute of the glass. Emptiness reveals the absence of things. Even though emptiness is not an attribute of anything, which is capable of revealing that particular glass. The very absence of attribute becomes a revealing factor. It is very peculiar. If you say, call that bald man, it is an absence of hair, but it is not a positive attribute. Therefore, absence of attribute can reveal Brahman. So you see, Anantam Brahma. What is the meaning? Absence of limitation. And that absence of limitation becomes a revealing factor of Brahman. Nirgunam, Nishkalam, Nirakaram, Brahma, they are all same. So, apparent attribute, blue sky, number one. Number two, incidental attributes like crow. Third one, absence of attribute like empty glass. And the fourth and final method is without talking about Brahman and indirectly you reveal Brahman. So you talk without talking. Oh, this is how you do that. You are doing this all the time. Suppose there are two children. The mother says, the elder son is very intelligent. And the younger one feels very bad. Even though the mother has not said a word about the younger son, by saying the elder one is intelligent, you have indirectly said the younger one is not so. This is also called Mauna Vyakhyan. You indirectly communicate. You ask one person after the class is over, you are in the parking lot, you ask him, where are you going? That person says, I will drop you wherever you want. Even though you did not ask for a ride, but he understood your indirect way of asking. Thus, there is a method of communication without communication. Upanishad uses this method which is called Neti Neti. It does not positively talk about Atma, but it negates Anatma. When all objects are negated, what is left is the unnegatable Atma. The knower principle alone is that Atma. Called Lakshanavritti by implication. By employing one or the other method, the Upanishad successfully reveal you the knowledge of Brahman. Lastly, we will see one more important point. Words can and will give you the knowledge, but the knowledge is complete only when the knowledge becomes intimate knowledge, which is in the form of direct experience. Only when we have direct experience, then we have complete knowledge. This is what we generally see. A person describes the beauty of Gangotri and Badrinath. I can read volumes of books of Badrinath and Gangotri. I can even get clear idea about these places, but we know that that knowledge is incomplete unless we directly experience those places. Therefore, we find normally knowledge has to culminate into experience, anubhava. Also, we find words are capable of giving knowledge only. Words are not capable of giving direct experience. And without direct experience, knowledge is incomplete. Naturally, the question comes, Vedanta is in the form of words. And hence, Vedanta can give only knowledge And the knowledge is incomplete unless it is converted into direct experience. How can Vedantic knowledge be complete? Therefore, people talk about the incompleteness of the Vedantic study. And they talk about varieties of sadhanas to convert this knowledge into experience. They invariably say Brahma Jnanam is different and Brahma Anubhava is different. Atma Jnanam is different, Atma Anubhuti is different. And then how can attending these classes give Anubhava? They can give only knowledge, and knowledge is incomplete by itself without Anubhava. This is the next question. How can Vedanta give Brahma Anubhava? Therefore, introduce meditation sadhana for Anubhava. Now this is the question. We have to clearly understand this. Otherwise, you will have problem in understanding Mandukya. I think my time is over, right?
Yes.
I know. Yes, so I will give you the answer tomorrow. I think you will come tomorrow. So this is the question. You all have this question.